Hey friends, I'm really excited to share this video with you because today we are going to be talking about wedding planning and more specifically venue hunting. I think choosing your wedding venue is one of the most exciting parts of wedding planning, especially if this is one of the first steps that you're taking in your planning process. It all starts to feel real when you can be in a potential space and see your special day laying out in front of you in real life and not just on a Pinterest board. So I want to take you along to share my experience in touring and choosing a wedding venue, as this is the first thing that my fiance and I did after getting engaged, and also share a few tips that might be helpful to you if you're starting this process as well. Let's go! Okay, we are on our way to our first venue.
First and last.
First and last, hopefully. We're in Surrey. We're heading to Great Foster's Estate, I believe. Today is June 8th. Yeah, we're excited. There it is. Let's get the impression. Oh! Oh, look at this! Okay, that's a very nice entrance. As we mentioned, this was our first venue that we toured, and spoiler alert, the only venue we toured, because we absolutely loved it. We knew it was the one, and it offered everything we were looking to have for our special day. But that isn't to say that we didn't do quite a lot of research beforehand to even know where to begin. Choosing the perfect wedding venue for your special day can come with quite a few challenges. You have to decide on the location and the time of year, you have to build a budget, and most importantly, you just have to make sure that the place you want to say I do is perfect for you. There are a few great websites that you can use to help filter out and begin this process. We personally used Hitched and The Knot, which I will link both of those down below, but I'm sure that there are plenty of other websites depending on where you live. We started all of our searches this way, and then once we had a few to pick from, we went to the venue's specific websites and social media to get a little bit better of a feel for the place. But before we could compile a list of potential venues, we needed to decide on three major things, those being budget, location, and style. Starting with budget, it's really important to set a budget from the very beginning of your wedding planning process, and to know that your venue may take a really big chunk out of this, especially once those hidden fees and insurances and minimum spends all start to get into the picture. Basically, everything costs money. That's the unfortunate reality of wedding planning, but that isn't to say that you can't stick within your budget once you've set one. If you need some help building your budget, Google Sheets has a really great free and easy to use spreadsheet. It's a wedding planning template set for building your budget, table planning, guest lists, all of the above. We used that and found it really helpful. So if you want to chat a little bit more about that, be sure to drop that in the comments below. So your budget venue allowance will vary person to person, and this all depends on what you want to prioritize for your wedding day. But I do advise you to ask yourself, is this venue realistically within my budget? And if the answer is no, don't waste your time. I mean, you can if you just want to get some inspiration, but wedding planning is time consuming enough as it is, so save that precious time and use it towards looking at possible venues that are realistic contenders. Now, something pretty cool that we learned about when venue hunting was that most venues will offer a discounted rate for weekdays, or I guess a surplus charge for weekends, depending on how you look at it. So check and see what those rates may be. We booked our wedding for a Thursday, and it turned out to cost about a third less than had we booked it for a Saturday. So it's definitely something to consider if you do have that kind of flexibility. One more venue budget related item to discuss is what's included with your venue and what will you have to pay for and hire out elsewhere. For example, an all-inclusive venue might be more expensive up front, but then when you add in the cost of hiring catering and bar staff and tables and tableware, this can all start to add up. So don't forget to compare the costs of both options. Once the nasty yet super crucial chore of setting a budget is done, we can move on to a slightly more enjoyable task, which is setting your venue location. And by this I mean the town or city, area, the country that you hope to get married in. A few questions to ask yourself here: are your guests having to travel to attend your wedding, or perhaps you're having to travel to attend your wedding in the case of a destination wedding? If so, how close is the nearest airport? Are there affordable hotels for your guests to stay at, or will you be providing lodging for your guests as well? Are taxis easily available in the area you're planning to get married, or will you need to provide special transportation? If your guests are traveling from far away, what other attractions are in the area that your guests can do to fill their time that's not preoccupied with wedding activities? I'll let you ponder all of of those questions on your own, I will be making a separate video filled with ideas for destination weddings. We had what I would consider a semi-destination wedding. All of my family was coming over from America while my fiance's family was from England. So it was a total mix, and I have lots of tips and tricks that we can chat about in that next video. Another thing to consider with location is what season or time of year are you hoping to have your wedding, and what does this look like in that area? If you're planning somewhere outside, is there an indoor contingency in the case of rain? Or if it's a really hot summer day, is there a place for shade? If you're planning a winter wedding, how difficult is it to get to your venue in the event of snow? Also think about holidays, busy travel times, and price spikes during different seasons. Once you've thought about the general area or location that you want to get married in, we get to go into the really fun stage of deciding on your style. The style is kind of the theme or the vibe that you want to have at your wedding, and this kind of goes hand in hand with location, as some places are going to be better suited to certain themes than others, so you might be intermixing this a little bit too. But when you're thinking about your wedding style, are you picturing a fairy tale castle backdrop, or are you more of a romantic beach at sunset kind of couple? Are you picturing a snowy mountain landscape, or maybe something more like a scenic cityscape? Do you want to get married in a barn? If so, do you want rustic chic or cozy country? The list goes on, and this is the part where Pinterest can really be helpful in deciding that style. I would also say before the dress and the colors and the menu, choose your theme, choose your style, because immediately this will eliminate thousands of ideas of things that you don't want. So many ideas are thrown your way during wedding planning, so it can be really helpful if you have a set vision and you stay down that path. There are so many beautiful ideas for wedding planning, and it can be really easy to lose sight of your vision. So as you're looking at these places, ask yourself a couple of questions. Does this venue fit the style of my vision board? What do I want the dress code to be for my guest? And does this venue fit that vibe? How would I want to decorate this place? And are there any decoration restrictions that I should be aware of? I'll add too that if you choose a place that's naturally pretty and the style is fitting your vision, you'll likely save by not having to pile on extra decorations or additional items just to make your space feel special. So start your search with those ideas in mind, and hopefully it will be easy to narrow down your research from there. Now, in doing so, it's important to remember that not all venues are fully licensed to hold a ceremony and a reception. So really keep that in mind when you're looking at different places. If you wish to have your ceremony and reception all in the same place, be sure to look for those fully licensed venues. Budget, location, and style were the three big items that we found really helpful in narrowing down where to begin our search. But the next three factors really helped us narrow down where we wanted to physically tour. And these are capacity, accessibility, and availability. Venue capacity is a huge one because you want to make sure that all of your loved ones can be invited for your special day. You probably don't have your guest list all laid out yet, but it might be a good idea to start thinking of a preliminary list just so you can give the venues you're interested in a ballpark number and make sure that they can fit all of the guests you're hoping to invite. I hadn't given much thought to a venue's capacity before actually starting to look into these places, but there were a few that had a lower capacity than what we originally intended to invite, so we were able to eliminate those places right away. And while we're talking about guests, keep in mind cost per head as well. This kind of ties back into budget, but each guest is going to cost X amount of dollars. So when you play this into the budget, it also might help you determine how many guests you want to have and then determine what your guest capacity needs to be. Accessibility should also be taken into consideration, especially if you have older guests or maybe guests with special needs. Take into consideration the amount of steps a venue might have, whether there's uneven walking surfaces such as cobblestone pathways, and also the walking distance to and from different points of the venue. You can also find out to see if there's any kind of golf cart or transportation that the venue can provide on site. Lastly, availability. You can't get married somewhere if they're not available to host your day. So have a look at what the availability is around the time you hope to get married. Unless you're set on a very specific date, for example, an anniversary, I would recommend choosing a wedding month because this opens a lot more opportunities for you for availability. For example, we picked September to be our dream wedding month, and we had quite a few days that we would have been happy with, but we also booked our wedding about 15 months in advance. So we had no problem finding this availability. I would recommend, if you do have time, have a long engagement, book out as long as you can because these places do tend to fill up fast, especially if they're very popular venues. And keep in mind, this doesn't have to be on a weekend. Like I mentioned before, you could have a weekday wedding. This will also help with your budget, and there might be more available options for you. Now, once all of that research is done, it's finally time to start booking actual venue tours. Most places do require an appointment for venue tours, and sometimes this can be hard to find the right availability. We had a couple issues with a few places and we didn't even end up touring them because they just didn't have availability that worked with our schedule. So do allow yourself some time when trying to book these appointments. To prepare for your venue tour, I would highly recommend printing out a list of questions that you hope to ask on your tour. I'll drop a few examples of questions that should be asked down in the description. You can learn a lot about a venue just in how they answer all of your questions. Also, if there's any non-negotiables of things that you really want to see happen at your wedding, ask at this first meeting so that you can make a decision right away. If you forget to ask any questions, don't worry, you can always email the coordinator that you met on that venue tour. This is also a really great idea to get your answers in writing. That way you have written confirmation from the venue. As you know from this video, we filmed and took pictures of everything during our tour. So I would recommend doing the same. It can be really overwhelming when you first step into a venue, you're taking it all in, and there's quite a few things that you can miss. So it's really nice to have that video footage to look back on. It's also really great to have the videos of the place you do decide to book for when it comes back to planning time later. You can take a look at the space and get a better feel for the size because you'll have that memory captured on film. The wedding venue websites do a great job of posting different pictures and videos online, but I think it's really great to just have raw footage that you took. No decorations, just so you can really envision the space when it comes to that wedding planning. You'll also get a better idea of depth and size of rooms. And also, I just think it's really special to capture your initial reactions during this exciting time, and it's always great to look back on those special memories. So far, everything is ticking off all of the boxes. Very exciting. It's all kind of feeling real. Hey friends, it's a few weeks later, but I just wanted to follow up after our venue tour. We decided that we absolutely love this place, and as of yesterday, we put down our deposit and signed the contract. So we're getting married on September 14th, 2023 at Great Foster's. It's so exciting. I'm so happy we have our venue picked out. That was the #1 thing on our to-do list because I'm going away on a contract soon and we just wanted to have a date and a place set. That way we can send out save the dates and we can start coordinating with the wedding photographers and the bands and videographers, and basically we just felt that getting the venue in place was kind of like the most important thing for us. And now it's done. So this is great. I'm so excited. I also feel like we really lucked out because we didn't have too many backups. Like there were a few other places that we looked at online, but Great Foster's was the place we were really hoping would work out, and we absolutely loved it. It's even more beautiful in person than we could have imagined. The gardens are spectacular, and I just have these visions for how the inside space is gonna look on the big day. And yeah, it's finally happening, so let's get married. As we wrap things up, let's go over a quick rundown of everything we talked about today. Budget. Always start with this. It doesn't have to be exact, but it's really important to know how much you can realistically spend on your venue. Location. Where do you want to get married and what conveniences need to be made to make that happen? Style. Setting the theme and finding the true vision for your wedding. Capacity. How many guests can be in attendance and what is the cost per head? Accessibility. Is this venue accessible and does it fit the needs of you and your guests? Availability. Is this place available for when you hope to have your wedding? It might be hard to find a picture-perfect place that ticks off every single box you have in your wedding planning checklist, but it really is what you make of it, and I hope by considering all the things we talked about today, you'll be able to find a place that is best suited for you on your special day. I hope this video was helpful if you're starting your wedding planning journey. If you are, I would love to know what are some of the things you're considering when looking for a venue. Be sure to drop that down in the comments below. And of course, if you did enjoy this video and want to follow along with some more wedding fun, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you can follow along for the next video. Happy wedding planning, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! You
love wedding planning, don't you?
Also, if you want your fur baby to be involved in your wedding day, make sure you have a pet-friendly venue as well.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.